So, this is a video answering 10 questions from atheist to atheist. I thought it was a brilliant concept to do, so I'm excited to answer them. Let's let them explain the idea.
Hello and welcome. I'm Joe from Answers in Reason. Answers in Reason is an atheist site and channel that tries to promote good conversations with both theists, atheists and other forms of non-theists online. We like to discuss philosophy and science and, a bit of theology here and there. Recently we posted 10 questions for theists, and so far I've been really enjoying the responses as they've been coming in, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing them with Dave in the future. As I've enjoyed them so much though, I figured it would be good to ask our atheist and non-theist viewers the same sort of questions as well and see what you guys think. I'd really love some video responses if you can to feature on our channel, but if you just want to leave them in the comments on YouTube, that's absolutely fine as well.
So, here are my answers. Let's get started.
Question 1. With there being a number of different types of non-theist or atheist, what label do you use for yourself, and what does that mean to you? Now, this question isn't to spark a debate about the definition of atheism, as I think people should be allowed to identify how they like, and the underlying meaning is actually what's important. The purpose of the question is more to act as a census of non-theists and see if folks are using their labels in the same way.
I would describe myself as an agnostic atheist and ichtheist. I'm an atheist for I'm not a theist. A theist, to me at least, is someone who has a belief in one or more gods. I don't have such a belief, and thus I'm an atheist. I'm agnostic for I don't claim knowledge on this topic. I don't know if a god does or doesn't exist, so I'm agnostic. Since I don't know, but I don't have a belief, I'm an agnostic atheist. I'd also describe myself as an ichtheist. I have yet to hear a coherent definition of God. To say something exists, to me, is to have a definition of something. For instance, a car could be described as a self-propelling vehicle that can move at least one person via land. And then to check if there is something in existence, in reality, that fits the definition. So we can say cars exist since we have objects that fit the definition. Since I have yet to find a coherent definition of a god, I can't even check if we have something fitting that definition in reality. Thus, ichtheist.
Question 2. Have you ever believed in a god? Which religion did you ascribe to, if any? If not, when did you first get introduced to the concept of gods?
This is a more difficult question than it has any right to be. I wouldn't say I believed in a god. I'd more say I accepted the existence of a god. A god was something that was stated as a fact when I was very young, and thus I just accepted it. Just like I accepted the existence of Sinterklaas, Dutch Santa Claus. And this was Protestant, though I didn't know that, so yeah, it's not very strong.
Question 3. Were you brought up in a religious area or with a religious family? How did those people around you react to you coming out as an atheist?
My family wasn't particularly religious, though from stories, apparently more so in the past. Apparently I was taken to church with some regularity. I do vividly remember my grandparents praying before dinner, but all of that seems to have waned in the years. Me coming out wasn't really coming out. It was more people figuring it out and seemingly not being surprised at all. I do live in the Netherlands where being non-religious is very common.
If you grew up in a non-religious area and with a non-religious family, how were your first interactions with heavily religious people?
curious. I had one friend, or perhaps friend, not certain on that, who was very religious. And I was endlessly curious about that. Though they didn't like it when I said I also didn't believe in big changes in evolution. That I only believed in lots of very little changes. I didn't even know creationism was a thing at the time. Another person at the same time was much more aggressive about it, giving me dirty looks when I asked questions about how things would have happened in evolution, as they didn't seem to make sense. Yes, I was criticizing how evolution had done something, and he gave me a dirty look about it. And once aggressively confronting me about it, where my reaction basically was, oh no, of course I accept Jesus, just to get him off my back. A useful experience to have, because I can only imagine how it is for a probably even smaller woman than I am to be intimidated by a big man like that. It gave me an understanding of how R without physical violence can easily happen. Let's just say that it didn't leave a great impression.
Question 4. What arguments or other evidence do you find most convincing against the existence of gods or various religions?
Probably a strange answer, but probably virtual particles. Particles that pop in and out of existence without an apparent cause, thus seemingly destroying arguments like the Kalam. Though, I'm not really convinced most religions are not true, it's more that I'm not convinced that they are true. And if I'm not convinced that they are, I hold to the null position.
Question 5. What arguments or other evidence do you find most convincing, interesting, or thought-provoking for the existence of a deity?
Lame answer, I know, but nothing. If I found any argument convincing, I'd believe in a god. The one I probably struggled most with would have to be Pascal's wager when relating to other people, until I realized that Pascal's wager is built on utterly arbitrary beliefs with no grounding whatsoever.
Question 6. What behaviours do you see from your fellow atheists or non-theists that you'd most like to change?
A question for which I'm the exact wrong person to ask. I don't really partake in communities, and watch like 3 to 5 atheists with regularity about to drop. I don't know what trends exist. Best I could say is the use of so many different terms to describe the same thing. For people to agree what to call someone who does not have a belief in one or more gods. Which of course is just, don't do what you do, do what I do, because I like it. So yeah, no real answer for me.
Question 7. Religion brings people together as a community. It offers support, various rituals that bring family together to help deal with death and all that sort of thing. But what does your local atheist community do to support folks in this regard? If either you have no local atheist community or your local community doesn't do anything, what sort of things would you like to see from an atheist community in this regard?
Another one where I'm the wrong person to ask. I have no clue if there's an atheist community here. If there isn't, I wouldn't be surprised. It's not something that makes you really weird here. And thus there is nothing that could really bind the community. For they have nothing really in common other than not having something. I also have not collecting stamps in common with a lot of people, yet I don't think that there's a community for that either. But as I said, not a community person, so I have no clue what I would want a community to do.
Question 8. Do you think moral statements like it is wrong to torture a small child for fun express truth?
I've yet to see any truth of wrongness. I do think it's harmful to kids' mental and potentially physical well-being, thus should not be done if we care about such things. But it's predicated on that if. We can look at the results of an action, but nothing about that says if those actions should be done. The classic ought-is problem. So no, I don't think moral statements express truth, for I've seen no evidence for the truth in them.
If yes, what do you think makes it true? For example, is it the society, the people, or is it true regardless of what people believe? If no, what do you think it actually expresses? Is it emotions or intuitions, or are you giving people instructions?
Yes, all three. Probably more. What we call moral statements are things we want people to do because they fall in line with our preferences. I think it's said rather well by Death Interpretschets de Hogvalle.
Tell me...
What would have happened if you hadn't saved him?
Yes.
The sun would not have risen.
Then what would have happened?
A mere ball of flaming gas would have illuminated the world.
All right, I'm not stupid. You're saying that humans need fantasies to make life bearable?
No. Humans need fantasy to be human. To be the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape.
With tooth fairies, hogfathers.
Yes. That's practice. You have to start out learning to believe the little lies.
So we can believe the big ones?
Yes. Justice, mercy, duty, that sort of thing.
They're not the same at all.
You think so? Then take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve, and then show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy. And yet, you try to act as if there is some ideal order in the world, as if there is some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged.
But people have got to believe that. What's the point?
You need to believe in things that aren't true. How else can they become?
It's not real. It doesn't exist in reality. But it's real to us. We make it real.
Number 9. If there was one theistic religion you had to choose to be true, what would it be and why? And no cop-outs saying the spaghetti monster or anything like that.
I honestly don't know enough religions to say any of them. Laveyan Satanism seems like a religion with the right ideas, but I don't think you can really call them theistic. Maybe Wicca? That always seems neat, but may not be if I learn more about it. Honestly, as long as it's not a religion with a god with ultimate power. No emperor of mankind. If one or more gods have to exist, let it be many gods who are people. Limited in immense power. Flawed, who can be reasoned with and who can change. Not one dickhead in the sky who controls it all. Doesn't have to care about you or anyone, and can do anything with you. Give me a pantheon of people, not one god emperor.
Question 10. Do you enjoy any theistic content?
Nope. Too infuriating to delve into. The only time I'll engage directly with theistic content is if I'll do a video about it, so I can share my grievances with it with the world.
If so, which channels would you recommend to your fellow atheists and non-theists? If not, are there any theistic channels that you've seen that do present some good arguments, even if you don't agree with their conclusions?
Nope. As with question 5, if I had seen any convincing arguments, I would be a theist. I'm an atheist because I haven't seen any convincing arguments. So yeah, this was fun to do. I hope it was fun to watch. Probably me being a lot less combative than normal. And if you dislike the mellow tone, don't you worry. I have a debunk of a theistic video planned too. This has been Phoenix, saying farewell.